As I'm nearing the end of my third pregnancy, I wanted to share my birth story so far. I had my first baby in January of 2023. I was due on February 15th, and one morning I went to my doctor's appointment. I had a doctor's appointment at 8:30, and I had an interview scheduled for 10 o'clock because at this point I had been out of work for like 4 months due to a safety issue. I had quit my job and was just focusing on NP school. I was in my second semester of NP school at this time, and I was just looking for some PRN work after I had my baby. Anyways, so I'm all dressed up nicely, have my hair fixed, my makeup's done. I'm in this cute dress thinking, okay, I'm gonna just get this done, go rock my interview, and be home. Get to my doctor's appointment, and the nurse practitioner says, your blood pressure is really high. She looks at it from the past few visits, said, yeah, this isn't looking good. And she looks at my ankles, and she's like, wow, you're pretty swollen. So she checks my cervix. I'm like 2 centimeters dilated. She said, you know what? You're gonna go to the hospital and have a baby today. I was in complete and utter shock. My husband's at work, and so I call him and I'm like, you've got to go home and get our hospital bags. I have to go straight to the hospital and be induced. So he's freaking out. This is our first kid. So I had this friend, Miss Heather, who was working on labor and delivery at the time, and I text her. I'm like, hey, by chance, are you working today? She says yes. I'm like, perfect. And my doctor was actually working that day too. So the Lord truly worked everything out in that aspect and helped really calm my nerves. So I get in and the induction process starts. Before this, I had read lots of things, watched lots of videos, listened to lots of podcasts, thinking, I'm gonna do this naturally. Like, I'm not gonna have an epidural or anything, it's gonna be fine. But I think the whole thing, just the whole idea of being induced out of the blue when I had so many other plans for that day, just made everything go out the window in my mind. So, needless to say, I made it several hours into labor, being induced with Pitocin. They broke my water. And my husband was there, my mom was there, and I remember asking my mom, is this as bad as the contractions are gonna get? And she's like, no, it's gonna get worse. So ended up getting the epidural because like I was just starfish in the bed the whole time. I didn't try to move, I didn't try to get up, I didn't try any of the non-pharmaceutical pain relieving methods that I had taught myself to remember beforehand. I was just so, I don't know. My mind was just scrambled at that point. So ended up getting the epidural. I was scared to death, but it was not bad. I didn't even feel it. It was weird though, because I did have referred pain in one muscle on the outer part of my left thigh, and it hurt so bad. But I was able to have my son. I had like a small 2nd-degree tear. I think I got to the hospital and the induction process started around 9:30 or 10, and then I had him shortly after 7:30 that afternoon. So wasn't bad at all. He was a beautiful, healthy 7-pound, 5-ounce baby. He had to have a little bit of oxygen right whenever he was born, but just like, you know, the handheld oxygen. He didn't have to be put on the nasal cannula or anything. We did end up having to stay 2 nights because of my preeclampsia. I had to be put on a magnesium drip. And so I think that was the worst part of everything, was after I had my son, they came in and started the mag drip because of my blood pressure still not being stabilized. And that made me feel terrible. I felt just kind of gushy everywhere. That's the only way I know how to describe it, and warm. And it made me feel so nauseous, and it was just not a fun time at all. My second labor was unmedicated, and I'd rather have 15 unmedicated births than go through the magnesium drip again. But other than that, there was no complications for me or my son. So healthy mom, healthy baby is really all you want. Even though all of my birth plans went out the window, that's completely fine. And I learned a hard lesson that you cannot tightly grasp something like birth and labor and delivery, because the second that you try to plan everything out is the second that everything goes out the window. But like I said, healthy outcome for mom and baby is the main goal, and that's what happened. And so I'm very thankful. That was my successful induction plus epidural story. Be sure to check out my next video for my birth story where I was induced, but I did not have an epidural.